Welcome back to The Becomings. In our last episode, we saw the birth of the first superpower, the Achaemenid Empire. But history is a cruel teacher, and glory is often followed by fire. Today, we step into the Crucible. We are combining two of the most volatile eras in human history into one epic journey. This is the story of how the Iranian Plateau survived 700 years of war with Rome, the total collapse of its religion to the Arab Conquest, and the literal apocalypse of the Mongol hordes. As we stand in this fractured April of 2026, witnessing the smoke of Operation Epic Fury, we realize that for the plateau, survival isn't just a habit, it is a superpower. History tells us that Alexander the Great burned Persepolis to the ground in 330 before Christ. Most civilizations would have dissolved into the dust right then and there, but the Iranian survival mechanism is an invisible force. Alexander conquered the land, but the land captured his mind. Within months, the great Macedonian was wearing Persian silks, demanding that his generals bow before him in the Persian style of proskynesis, and marrying 10,000 of his men to Persian women. Alexander didn't turn Persia into Greece. Persia turned Alexander into its next great king. When he died, and his generals carved up his empire, the Greek Seleucids tried to force Western culture onto the plateau. It failed, because in the shadows, a new force was rising from the northeastern steppes, a force that would spend the next 5 centuries making Rome regret ever looking east. Enter the Parthians. They were the ghosts of the desert. They were not builders of marble cities, they were masters of the wind and the horse. They developed a tactic so terrifying it is still a phrase in our language today: the Parthian shot. Their cavalry would charge, then suddenly break into a feigned retreat. As the enemy broke formation to chase them, the Parthian riders would turn 180 degrees in their saddles and fire a lethal arrow into the heart of the pursuers while at a full gallop. In 53 before Christ, the richest man in Rome, Crassus, decided he wanted a triumph in the east. He marched 7 legions into the desert. At the Battle of Carrhae, the Parthians didn't just defeat him, they humiliated the Roman ego. Legend says they poured molten gold down Crassus's throat to mock his insatiable greed. For 300 years, Rome poured its blood into the sands of the plateau. They never broke the wall. By the year 224, the plateau shifted gears. A new dynasty emerged, the Sassanids. If the Parthians were ghosts, the Sassanids were iron. They were the hardcore traditionalists, resurrecting the glory of Cyrus and the caste system of the Zoroastrian. This was the era of the Iron Frontier. For 4 centuries, the Sassanids and the Romans, and later the Byzantines, locked themselves in a stalemate that exhausted the known world. They fought for control of Mesopotamia, the gateway we now call Iraq. The Sassanid king Shapur the Great was so dominant that he actually captured the Roman Emperor Valerian alive. Think about that. A Roman emperor, the most powerful man in the West, spent his final days as a footstool for a Persian king. It is now April 2026. Operation Epic Fury has entered its 2nd month. And where are the missiles falling? The Iron Frontier has not moved an inch. Mesopotamia, Iraq, is once again the theater where empires come to bleed. In the last 72 hours, Iranian-backed militias have exchanged fire with NATO forces across the same desert plains where Crassus lost his life. The tragedy of the Sassanid-Roman wars was that they exhausted both sides so completely that they never saw the real threat coming from the south. As the powers of 2026 deplete their stockpiles of precision munitions today, they are repeating the exact same mistake of the 7th century. By the mid-7th century, Iran was a bleeding giant. Centuries of forever wars with Byzantium had left the plateau hollowed out. And then, from the scorching deserts of Arabia, a force unlike any other emerged: the Arab Caliphate. In 6051, the unthinkable happened. The Sassanid Empire, the Iron Wall of the East, collapsed. the capital fell. The last Shah was murdered by a common miller for his jewels. Zoroastrianism, the faith that had fueled the Iranian spirit for 3,000 years, began to fade. For any other nation, this would have been the end. Egypt became Arab, Syria became Arab, North Africa became Arab. They lost their languages and their ancient identities forever. But the Persians? The Persians were just getting started. This is where the survival mechanism becomes a masterpiece. The Persians lost the military war, so they launched an invisible war. They accepted Islam, but they refused to become Arabs. They took the Arabic script and bent it to fit the Persian language, Farsi. They didn't just join the caliphate, they ran it. Under the Abbasid dynasty, Persian bureaucrats, scientists and poets became the brains of the Islamic world. The great golden age of Islam was in reality a Persian renaissance. Scholars like Avicenna and poets like Rumi ensured that while the religion was new, the cultural soul was ancient. They Persianized their conquerors until the caliphs themselves were living like Sassanid kings. But if the Arabs brought a new god, the Mongols brought only the end of the world. In 1220, Genghis Khan unleashed a fury the plateau had never seen. The Mongols didn't just conquer, they erased. They wiped out the Qanat irrigation systems, the underground lifeblood of the desert that had taken thousands of years to build. They slaughtered entire cities, leaving nothing but pyramids of skulls. It was a demographic catastrophe. Historians estimate that in some regions, 90% of the population was wiped out. It seemed finally, after 5,000 years, the Iranian story had reached its final page. And yet, something incredible happened. Within 2 generations, the grandson of Genghis Khan, Hulagu, founded the Ilkhanate on the plateau. And what did these fierce nomads do? They didn't turn Iran into a pasture. They built grandiose Persian mosques with turquoise domes. They funded Persian astronomy. They made Farsi the language of their state. The plateau had digested the horde. The harsh conquerors who lived in yurts were now funding the very poets and architects who would define the Persian aesthetic for the next 5 centuries. Once again, the conquered had reprogrammed the conqueror. Today, on this 13th of April, 2026, we see this same cycle playing out. The modern state of Iran is locked in a battle with the global order. Sanctions have bitten deep, and Operation Epic Fury has struck the heart of the nation's infrastructure. But look closely at the streets of Tehran and Shiraz. Amidst the protests and the military parades, the invisible war continues. The youth are not just fighting for a political change, they are fighting to reclaim the Persian identity from the Islamic one, just as their ancestors did 1,000 years ago. They are using the internet and digital art as their poems to subvert the rigid ideologies of the present. The paradox of 2026 is that while the state is under fire, the soul of the plateau is, as always, busy digesting the chaos to create something new. 5 centuries of Roman iron. An Arab revolution. A Mongol apocalypse. The plateau has seen it all, and it is still here. But a new wall was about to be built. In our next episode, a teenage king will rise to forge a religious fortress that will change the Middle East forever, and the great game of the British and Russians will turn the plateau into a colonial chessboard. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the becomings. If you found this dive into the eternal crucible insightful, please like, subscribe, and share. History is happening right now. Don't just watch it, understand it. This is The Becomings.